It's all about that paradox of life, where life is very, very hard and it's also miraculous and extraordinary. And the truth lies inside that paradox, because the good thing and the bad thing are always going to be the same thing.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. It's Rick Nusky here, and do I have somebody very special on the line today? I'm with the wonderful Vivien Schapera. Welcome to the show, Vivien.
Thank you.
Yes, it's so great to have you here. I've just been looking through all of the books that you've authored, and we're going to take a very close look at that. We're going to be looking at, obviously, your crystal surgery practitioner work and how you founded the Four Winds Academy and all of those wonderful things. So with that being said, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be talking to you and to get this opportunity. I so appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've been, again, looking through some of the books. What have you got here? You've got Crystal Surgery. You're a finalist. We'll talk about that in a moment. Everyday Magic, which is your latest works. What else is there? There's Lose Weight, Gain Money, Guided Lessons. You are a prolific author, and I'd love to talk a little bit about that. But it's customary for us, Vivien, to start off with the people behind the work. And that means let's talk a little bit about you. So where are you located? Where's home for you?
My home is Cincinnati, Ohio, USA. And we've been living here since the end of 1991. We moved from Cape Town, South Africa. It took us 12 years to organize ourselves, to get green cards and get into this country. And we moved to Cincinnati, and we have been very happy here ever since. It has worked out extremely well for us. And actually, I tell the story of how we came to live in Cincinnati, Ohio, in my book, Everyday Magic, because I kept on having to tell that story so many times, and the story of how I discovered the different things that I've discovered.
Yep.
And so many times that now here, I wrote the book, Everyday Magic, and wrote it out for people. Wonderful book, did very well. It's been amazing. And home is Cincinnati, Ohio, USA, formerly Cape Town, South Africa.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, look, what is it that you love most about Cincinnati? What sticks out for you?
It's a livable city, and I think that's important because we don't have to sit in gridlock every day of the week, driving around. Things are affordable. Homes are affordable. Property is affordable. Life is affordable. And that makes a big difference here in the USA.
Yeah.
People who want to live on the coasts, they do pay a price. There's a cost of living aspect to it, as well as accessibility and so on. And they, there's an ethic. Turn up your nose at the people who live in the Midwest. I tell you what, we have got it lucky here, and we feel the good fortune of it. We really do.
Yeah.
And everyone who comes to visit us says, wow, I didn't realize it could be this good.
Yes, fantastic.
It's great.
Now, I know that you're a pet lover. Tell us about your pets.
Yes, that's right. We don't forget our pets. Let's show our pet right now, because she's right here wanting to be part of the show. And she doesn't look so willing at the moment. She's making kitty face.
I've had enough of this.
Hello to the people. She doesn't look happy at all.
A bit of a cameo appearance there. So in terms of your leisure time, I know that you're quite busy as an author and with your work at Four Winds. Do you have any downtime, and what do you enjoy doing when you're not working per se?
I love travel. We love travel. I should say we love travel, and we love photography, and those are our two big hobbies. So we just came back from Florida, actually, and we go down there usually in the winter time, and the birds are extraordinary. So my husband's an avid photographer, which has been fantastic for our YouTube channel because, my goodness me, and also for the crystal surgery textbook, because he did all the photographs, and I've joined in. He's helped me. I'm point and shoot, but he helped me. But he's helped me become actually quite a good photographer as well. And Oh, we love it. We love it. And the thing is, when you're looking through that telephoto lens, now that's just the kind of thing I'm doing when I'm looking at energy. I'm seeing things differently. And you look at the birds, you look at the animals, we go on safari, we go back to South Africa and we go on safari and you see the animals through the telephoto lens. Mm-hmm. It's a different world. And it opens up doors and it opens up your brain and it opens up your energetics. And so we just love that. And so that's what we do with our leisure time. And we need it. And, it was hard during the pandemic.
Oh, yes.
Because we couldn't travel and we couldn't do those leisure activities. And you know what it's like? You sort of think, well, you're not doing this all the time. Why is it so stressful that you aren't doing it? But it's like not having any salt or seasoning in your food. It's a small proportion of the ingredients, but it makes a big, big, big difference.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And that's how it is for us with our travel and our leisure time and our photography. And then we love to have our friends over. We love cooking. We love watching the cooking shows. And then we like to go and experiment. Of course, we don't do what they say.
I wonder, if we can wind back the wheels of time, as it were, Vivien, and go back to when you were younger as a child growing up. What's the one thing that sticks out for you, a positive memory that you have?
From when I was growing up? What pops into my mind, and I'm a little bit surprised, is I just think about my dad.
Yes.
I had the most fantastic father. Everybody thought he was, the archetypal, just how you want your dad to be. And when you asked me that question, that's what popped into my mind. I was not expecting the question. I wasn't ready. I love my answer, and I love my dad. He was just extraordinary person. And Rick, he made me the person that I am today because I won't say that my parents were perfect. They were far from perfect, and there were a lot of issues, and there was a lot of trouble and a lot of drama, and it didn't go well for my brother. Mm-hmm. But my brother acted as a buffer for me in my life, and I got the best of my parents as a consequence of that. And my dad just gave me this amazing sense of acceptance in the world.
Yep.
And he made me a strong person, and he taught me to do with my life what I want to do with my life, and that what I do from Monday to Friday is the most important thing. I mustn't be looking forward to getting off work. I mustn't be looking forward to the weekends in order to live my life. I must live my life with my career and my work and what I do, and I must do what I love. And that's what he taught me.
These are very formative years. They're foundational, aren't they? I was going to ask you about that in terms of being around those role models. Clearly, your father was one. Did you have any others as you moved through, later teenage years? Did you have others? Who's your main go-to?
I must have had other role models, and nowadays my role models are kind of up there. It's like the Dalai Lama, and I just think that the Dalai Lama is an extraordinary role model to all of us in our society. This is a person who doesn't have a home country anymore and has to live as an expatriate of his own country, and and what's going on, and you look at people who experience hardship and continue to have a loving heart and to spread the word of compassion and love. And that is a very big role model for me.
Yes.
And then I had a teacher, my Alexander teacher in England, Walter Carrington, incredible role model. What a brilliant man, doing something very unusual and doing it to the most extraordinary standard that was leadership for the whole world, for all of us people who became Alexander teachers, just extraordinary. And so, Rick, I have had the most extraordinary good fortune with my teachers. So I have had role models and mentors and all kinds of people. My crystal teacher, Melody, who wrote the Love is in the Earth series, what an extraordinary role model, not about perfection, but about being a human being who makes a contribution to humanity by following your own star. And, this is the kind of guidance that I got and the kind of role modeling that I got. I couldn't have been more fortunate. I really credit my teachers. And then I had a wonderful therapist when I was in my 20s, a man called Gordon Isaacs, who is actually the only teacher that I have who is still alive. And he really helped me to find myself and my identity and my voice. And I can't let this moment go without crediting him.
Yes.
Because what an extraordinary force in my life to have someone help me at that tender age in my early 20s. And he still now, via Facebook, supports me emotionally in a certain kind of way. Just knowing that he's out there. I have a little Gordon on my shoulder always. What would Gordon say to me? And he's just been a fabulous force in my life. I wish for everybody to have these kind of
relationships,
teachers and mentors and healers and therapists in their life, because boy, does it make a difference. Just extraordinary.
I was thinking about this. You just mentioned North Star a little earlier, and I thought to myself, well, as an author, it's one thing, but as a writer, do you get much value out of reading? And did you used to read any other works other than your own as you work through the years?
Yes, that is a very, very interesting question. I used to be an avid reader. And as I wrote more and more and more, I started to read less and less because they don't go well together. I can't explain it, but once you learn about how to write correctly and how to structure your writing, then you can tell when a book's been ghostwritten, or when it's been forced, and it's been written too quickly because the publisher has demanded X number of books. And so you don't get that quality anymore of writing that I used to enjoy. I mean, to me, books like Wuthering Heights, with the characterization and the tone and the atmosphere and the drama and that you learned as you were reading, I can't find those kind of books anymore, and it's a little bit disappointing. So I love thrillers and detective knowledge books. And that's helped me a lot in my work because I consider myself to be an energy detective. And so I like a mystery story and I like detective stories, and that's kind of TV we watch as well. And I'm very sensitive to the written word and the spoken word as well, and very selective. So I have a kind of a high standard, but there is another reason that I don't read as much as I used to, and that's because of the crystals, because crystals are also, they're like books. They are full of information and knowledge and stories, and I get a huge amount of information from the crystals. And so there was a period of almost 10 years when I hardly read because I was getting the information from the crystals. And then one day I stopped and I thought, why aren't I reading anymore? I do love reading, and I do enjoy reading. And strangely enough, there came the answer. Well, you're absorbing so much information from the crystals, there's not that much more space left in your human brain to take in more.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible. I'd love to, if we could, go to that moment in time where you decided to write Everyday Magic, which is your latest works. What inspired you to write this particular book?
Well, I wrote Everyday Magic. Actually, it was first published as a hardbound in 2002, and then we reissued it in 2020 as an eBook because people were asking, when's the eBook coming? And I thought, this is good. Let's do the eBook now, because we can during the pandemic and so on. And I wrote it because I wanted to share my story with people so they could use it as a case study and look at their own lives and understand their own lives in a different way, because we do have extraordinary magic. Each and every one of us, it is our birthright to have magical lives, but we have to see the magic and we need to understand the magic. And Everyday Magic has an alternate title, and the alternate title is Incessant Battering from the Universe. It's the paradox, you see. It's all about that paradox of life, where life is very, very hard, and it's also miraculous and extraordinary. And the truth lies inside that paradox, because the good thing and the bad thing are always going to be the same thing. And that's like the Ram Dass story, where the farmer's son broke his leg, but then the military came around and didn't take the son off to the military because he wasn't able-bodied. And the story, goes on. I think it begins actually with the horse running away, and then the horse coming back, and then the farmer's son breaking his leg.
Yep.
And you just can say you don't know what's the good thing and what's the bad thing. It's just this flowing river of paradoxes that we have to live through in our lives. And so that's why I wrote Everyday Magic, because I wanted people to perceive that the cloud is not the issue and is not what you want to focus on. It's the silver lining. And without a cloud, you don't get that silver lining delivered to you. And we mustn't look for the yellow brick road. We must rather look for the silver lining, because that is the path that is going to lead us to our destiny. And that's what we want. We want to fulfill what we came here on earth to do. And that's what Everyday Magic is about. How do I find my path? How do I travel this journey? How do I survive this journey in a good way? And what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And who are my teachers? And who are the signposts? And who are the leaders that are going to take me to where I need to be in my life?
Is it a cover to cover read, or is it something people can go back to and just take bits and pieces from as they need? How do you read this? Both.
I tell you what, it took me 6 years and 7 drafts to write that book, and people read it in a day and a half.
Overnight. It's an overnight book.
Yeah, it's a page turner. Rick, it's bizarre. I look at Everyday Magic and I start reading it and I go, I wonder what happens next. And I go, dum-dum, you wrote it. It's your life. Remember. Of course you know what happens next. But there's an energy there of hidden meaning that even I am amazed at. It's revelationary for me to read Everyday Magic. It's an extraordinary dynamic. And people have been telling me, oh, I've been reading it again. Well, they write to me because they did just reread it, or they dipped into it, and then they tell me it's like they were getting messages. And it is, because one of the things that Everyday Magic deals with is the way the spirit dimension is guiding us and helping us and supporting us through our lives. And when I looked at Everyday Magic after I'd finished editing it, and, I finished the 7th draft, and, and I had to edit it and tighten it up and so on, and I went, this isn't even about me anymore. It was supposed to be, a story about my life. It's actually, I saw that it's actually a story about the spirits. They'd inserted themselves in every single chapter.
Oh, wow. That's pretty profound, isn't it?
It is. It really is profound. Yeah.
I know that you've done a whole heap of other works, and I'd love to touch on some of those briefly. But right now, I'd love to shift the focus on the Four Winds Academy. I know that you have university qualifications. You have a significant background in psychology, was it?
That's right. Yes, I trained in clinical psychology in South Africa.
Yep.
I never worked as a psychologist, though. I changed over to becoming an Alexander Technique teacher.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know, but Alexander's from Australia.
No, I'd love to learn.
Well, FM Alexander, he was born in Tasmania and he lived in Australia. And then, and this we're talking, the late 1800s, and then the doctors in Australia said to him, you've got to take your technique to the world, and to do that, you must go to London. And so he did. He went to London, and that became the center of the Alexander Technique. But actually, he's from down under. He's from your land.
On the bottom side of the rock.
That's right.
That's wonderful. I know that you had a calling as such when you put together Four Winds. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of Four Winds and how it actually came about.
Yes, we had premises for teaching the Alexander Technique, and we had an Alexander training facility, and we had a lot of tables for teaching and training other Alexander teachers, and we had the space. And one day I looked around the space and I went, this space can be used on the weekends and in the evenings for other kinds of workshops. It doesn't have to be reserved only for the Alexander Technique. And then I thought, what other kind of workshops? And then a sort of a voice from outside me, which I didn't hear with my ears, but I could hear in my mind, said, well, you're going to start teaching healing workshops. And I went, really? What do I know about that?
Looking over your shoulder. Thanks for that.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. I see more work.
Oh, you're calling. That's what it is.
That's right. And so I started with just teaching some workshops because people actually kept saying, won't you show me how you do this? And won't you teach me how to do that? And I thought, well, okay, let's give it a shot. And we started with a Saturday afternoon 3-hour workshop. And more people wanted to learn and more people wanted to come. And it was fun. It was fun. You know, Alexander Technique takes 3 years to train people. 3 years full time. It's very, it's
intense.
It's a very detailed technique, and it's very time consuming to train teachers, and it requires a lot of commitment. So it was kind of nice to have something that all you had to do was commit to 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So there we are, committing to 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon, and it was a lot of fun, and people really enjoyed it, and they learned, and they felt helped by it. And so we expanded that. And we expanded it to the point where we have 4 subjects at Four Winds Academy: shamanism, intuition, crystal healing, and energy healing. And we really designed a program for teaching healers, because healers are not, there's no standard in the profession, but healing is big. And I can really predict that in this century, we are going to see healing getting to be a bigger and bigger and bigger subject, and a bigger and bigger and bigger topic, mm-hmm. because in the medical field, everyone's become specialized. And so we don't really have that general practitioner who understands people in a whole kind of way. And I think that healers are going to have to take that over, but they're going to need to get a lot of training and become much more professional for that. And that's the vision and mission of Four Winds Academy, is to set healing up, energy healing, as a proper profession with proper standards, mm-hmm. and proper training.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's funny because I was just thinking about kinesiology popped into my mind, and how I was absolutely blown away by the ability for an oil in a vial in my hand to change the strength in my body depending on the ailment that I had. But, I also at the same time was exposed to Reiki and remote healing energy. And that led me to thinking, has the pandemic caused any issues for you to help your clients remotely, or can you do that?
Oh, the pandemic's closed our doors, because I work, we work one-on-one with people, mm-hmm. and didn't lend itself to sort of deep cleaning and these kind of things. So so we had to close our doors when we had lockdown and went into isolation and so mm-hmm. on, and social distancing. And I thought, now what? Well, interestingly enough, a few of my clients said, well, will you work with me remotely? And at that time, I had always worked 1 or 2 sessions a week, and we're talking out of something like 22 to 32 sessions a week would be remote. And sometimes there'd be no remote sessions. And it wasn't a very developed part of my work to work remotely. Yeah. So I closed my doors, and then a few of my clients, one of them being an anesthesiologist, he said, will you work with me remotely? Because he was very anxious about his exposure. Being an anesthesiologist, he was very much on the front line because he was qualified to put people on ventilators and so on. And I could not say no to him. Of course, I had to support him, even though I was in a state of trauma and shock myself. Of course, I was going to support him and his family. His wife was also very, very anxious, also a client of mine. And so, those 2 people pop into my mind. And then a few other people also said, well, can you work remotely? Will you work remotely? So not so easy to work remotely with the Alexander Technique, but I developed a procedure for that, which I was quite pleased with. And then with the crystal healing, oh my goodness, Rick, it was absolutely extraordinary what happened next, because I developed a whole new set of layers of my work and have developed not only crystal surgery, but crystal microsurgery. And to tell you the truth, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do that in person, because doing that in the remote work, what I started to perceive and experience and be able to do remotely was stronger than what I'd been doing in the in-person. It transformed my work and
Another
developed
level.
my work. And then I took that into teaching a group of students, and actually we're just about to finish on Saturday a how to read energy course, which is 100% suited to doing remotely without the visual of having the person in front of you. Much better way to train in this particular thing. So a whole new methodology, whole new way of working developed, whole new way of teaching, new classes, everything. It was like this creative explosion that came forward.
Yes, it's like I've heard a lot about innovating and adapting based on this whole pandemic, and it seems as if that's exactly what's come to you, and I'm very glad that's
true.
the case. Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, when you want to somebody wants to actually connect with you and start to work with you, what's the process that they go through remotely?
The process remotely of the work itself?
Yes.
Or,
like when they want to find you, I guess would be a good start. Where do they go? And when they do find you, is there some sort of an application process? What's the onboarding side of it look like?
But they just email me, and you can email me via crystalhealingtechniques.com or Schapera.com. Those are two of our active websites. fourwindsacademy.org is another active website, but not the best way to contact me at the moment. So crystalhealingtechniques.com or Schapera.com will reach me if you use the contact form there.
Yep.
And then I set up a time if I can accommodate. I am a little bit busy, and now people are coming back to in-person sessions. The kitty's walking on the table here. It's distracting me a little bit. I was like, what's the kitty doing here? Okay, she's back. So then people they contact me and they ask to set up an appointment, and we go from there, and then we use WhatsApp. So if they're in another country, and otherwise here in the States, we just use our iPhones. I do not like to see people for the remote sessions. I use audio only, so that I'm not distracted by any visuals, because then I can see what's happening on what we call the mind screen, which is the mental imagery that our brains produce when you read a book, and it's as if you can see these images in it like a movie.
You paint a picture.
Well written. Yeah, that's right. So that's your mind screen where the picture gets painted, or when you imagine something creative, then that's also on your mind screen. So I use my mind screen, and the visuals there are much more powerful, much more detailed, much more information than if I were looking at a person, because now I can just read and assess the energy and work with the energy, and I can see what I'm doing. And then I also have a set of crystals in front of me, and then I can look at them, and that's the physical part that I'm looking at rather than physically looking at the person. And then I have a proxy crystal that I'm using to stand in for the person, and I'm working on the person's energy via the proxy crystal. It works brilliantly.
I'd love you to send me some positive energy. Thank you very much. I'd love to receive
it. I will definitely do that, Rick. I can do that right now while we're talking.
Well, excellent. Well, and it leads me to, I guess, the pointy end of the question. We know where people can find you, which is at Schapera.com. Can they also access the books if they want to purchase those as well, or just download them?
Yes, you can. The books you can buy on Amazon, and you can. The Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery, that book, it's best to buy through our website, crystalhealingtechniques.com. But there is also a free PDF view of the Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery on crystalhealingtechniques.com, because that's a big reference book. It's a little bit expensive to mail, and it's the cost of a textbook, because it's full color. It's a big publication. I can actually hold it up here because this is video, isn't it? Let me get it and just show you what I'm talking about. Let me get this. So here we are. This is the Complete Guide to Crystal Surgery.
Fantastic.
And it's a big book. Can't even fit in the picture. And it's got everything explained.
Wow, that's a lot of work that's gone into that.
Yeah, it's beautifully set up with photographs and everything. 2 indexes. It's a pretty extraordinary work. We did win an award for it
Yeah, I noticed that. It's an absolute credit to you. Congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
With everybody who's on the show today, I hope you've enjoyed this, because this is just opening a crack in the door to the work Vivien is doing. So there's the Crystal Surgery book, there's Everyday Magic, and there is a number of others that you can find on Schapera.com. No matter where you find this interview, below the post you will also find links back to Vivien and all this wonderful work. And with all that being said, Vivien, thank you so very much for joining me on the My Future Business show today.
Thank you so much, Rick.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.